Hello. So in order to validate your business idea and to make it more viable and attractive to stakeholders, some degree of research and exploration needs to be undertaken. Knowing your customers and how to build a business model around them is really important. You'll have done some reading by now and you will be familiar with several concepts underpinning market research. This video will help summarize and clarify some of this reading while adding more detail around pricing strategies. Segmentation is a marketing term referring to the aggregating of prospective buyers into groups or segments that have common needs and will respond similarly to a marketing action. But what has this got to do with developing your business model canvas? Well, it helps you identify in more precise terms the nature and scale of your customer base, which in turn allows you to make assumptions about how much income you might generate, which in turn allows you to consider operational issues such as how many supplies do I need, how much stock would I need to order, how much capital do I need to raise, what marketing channels can I use to reach them, etc. In other words, it can help you enormously when it comes to decision making. But where can you find this sort of data to inform your decision making? Well, you can do some direct research with your customers and users called primary research. And this could be useful in terms of getting to know them and generating qualitative data. But it can be limiting in terms of understanding the scale of your customer base and gaining insight into wider trends. In this case, accessing secondary data can be really useful. For example, you can check out the Office for National Statistics, the ONC, on demographic trends, or Mentel, the global marketing research portal, which is available through Keele Library. These can provide statistics and insights to support your assumptions, so do check them out. What about buyer or user personas? A buyer persona is a semi-fictional representation of an ideal customer. A persona may include customer demographics, interests, pain points, behavior patterns, motivations, and goals. The process of creating a buyer persona usually involves market research, observation, customer interviews, surveys, and more. You should have begun reading about buyer or user personas as a tool for understanding your customers. Personas help build on dry statistical information by giving your customers personality traits and an identity. Again, a really good tool for understanding your customers. But remember, you can't think about customers in isolation. It's important that your thinking is consistent when it comes to bringing the 9 segments of the business model canvas together and that everything makes sense. So paying attention to another issue, namely pricing, is important. Pricing can be a challenge for new businesses as there are so many different strategies and issues to consider. One of the most common strategies is called cost pricing, where the business finds out what the cost of the service or product is, called the unit cost, and then adds some on top of it, which will be the profit. This seems sensible as you are ensuring that you are getting in more than you are spending. But it can only work if the customer is prepared to pay that particular price. If they can't, can you lower the profit markup, or can you cut down the unit cost of the product or service? There are other pricing strategies depending on your product or service and the kind of customers you want to attract. For example, penetration pricing is a pricing strategy in which the seller charges a low price on a new product to discourage competition and gain market share. Again, if you're going to go for low cost, then your margins are probably going to be tight, in which case you will need high volume of sales, which suggests a particular kind of customer and a particular kind of marketing strategy. Alternatively, if the market is niche, and especially if you're looking at low volume sales, you might need to consider value-based pricing, which is a pricing strategy which sets prices primarily according to the perceived or estimated value of a product or service to the customer, rather than according to the cost of the product or historical price. Of course, you can have a mix of strategies depending upon the customer segment and the product or service that you're offering. What's important with your business model is that you make sure the parts go together coherently and recognize that each segment connects with other segments in a systematic way, and that specific choices made in one segment might affect other segments.